Lots and lots of people are not religious themselves, but they've got a vague idea it's a good thing that other people are. It's very patronizing and condescending, by the way. It's sort of the attitude, well, you and I, of course, are too intelligent to be religious, but the common people need it. And there are a lot of people who actually think that. A lot of people think that we need religion in order to be moral. There are a lot of people who think that if you took religion away, people would start, rushing around, smashing shop windows and robbing and raping and things like that. No evidence for that whatever.
No evidence.
Absolutely none.
No.
So I think one important thing we've got to do is to prize apart religion from morality. It's absolute nonsense to say that you need religion in order to be moral. And so I think that would be one major step we could take. You don't need to send your child to a faith school in order to instill in that child a sense of morality, a sense of good citizenship.
Okay, sure.
For whatever reason, even in a secular country like this, we have arrived at a point where there's a sort of latent belief within the popular consciousness that to be scientific is to somehow be sort of desiccated and dry and to miss out on the magic and mystery of one's experiences and the world and so on. You dispute that, right?
So not only dispute it, I mean, it's just the exact opposite of the truth.
Oh.
Science is wonderful. Science is amazing.
Science is wonderful and amazing.
The fact that you could understand why you exist, who could not be turned on, who could not be excited by that? Who would ever want to live in a world where you live your life, you go to work, you go to the office, whatever it is, you go to the football match, and this goes on year after year, and then you die. And you don't have any understanding of why you were there in the first place. That's desiccated, that's dry. What is not dry and desiccated is coming into the world, as it were, awakening in the world, and awakening in the fullest sense of seeing the universe, seeing the stars, seeing down a microscope.
You know who the ultimate scientist is? God. So
here we go.
Here we go.
There we go.
Yes, here we go. Who essentially invented science? God. Yeah. So
interesting,
isn't it? Though
it is interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's also interesting what Richard Dawkins just recently said about Christianity. Still an atheist, but listen to this.
I do think that we are culturally a Christian country. I call myself a cultural Christian. I'm not a believer. But there's a distinction between being a believing Christian and being a cultural Christian. And so, I love hymns and Christmas carols. And
Christmas carols.
I sort of feel at home in the Christian ethos. If I had to choose between Christianity and Islam, I choose Christianity every single time. I mean, it seems to me to be a fundamentally decent religion in a way that I think Islam is not.
Oh, wow.
I think you're going to have to explain why you say that, Professor Dawkins. Why is Islam fundamentally not decent like Christianity?
Yes, I mean, the way women are treated. I mean, Christianity is not great about that. It's had its problems with female vicars and female bishops and things. But there's an active hostility to women, which is promoted, I think, by the holy books of Islam. I'm not talking about individual Muslims, who, of course, are quite different. But the doctrines of Islam, the hadiths and the Quran, is fundamentally hostile to women, hostile to gays, and I find that I like to live in a culturally Christian country, although I do not believe a single word of the Christian faith.
I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? That seems like a shift in his.
It sure does.
In his ethos, if you will.
Well, since that last interview, right, in 2011?
Where he wanted nothing to do with any of it.
Many of the things, if that were true, then you'd see all of this violence going on. And look around, Dick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Richard.
Dick. Whatever. They're both accurate. But I will say, cultural Christianity from Richard Dawkins, pretty interesting. You know why? Because he has seen the decay of society and civilization.
Exactly.
That's why.
Exactly.
He sees our very civilization crumbling around us, and what keeps it together.
And he's seen, you want to talk about changing of the ethos.
Yeah.
He's probably living in London, or at least in the UK. That ethos has changed dramatically.
Sure has. Sure has.
With Islam leading the way.
Yep.
And how's that ethos working out?
Well, he sees what happens when you ignore that ethos and you allow the culture and the society to just accept whatever and the values of the people coming in, and you don't do anything about it.
Right.
And they start to change your values and your foundation. And once you've built your foundation on those principles and then people start taking a jackhammer to it, something bad is going to happen, and he understands that now. Yep. Apparently, there's really no denying it anymore, is there? I mean, you can't deny it. Look what's happened since we've shunned Christian values.
Yeah.
I mean, you start with really, and things started going haywire a little bit before this to a certain extent. But once we stopped prayer in schools, and you couldn't pray anymore in school, and you couldn't talk about it in school, and you had to avoid all references, and we started to get this separation between church and state nonsense that doesn't exist in the U.S. Constitution. There is no such phrase in the Constitution. But that became our battle cry. Separation of church and state. You can't even talk about it. What's happened to us since then? Are we better, worse, or about the same, as your optometrist might ask? About now, better, worse, or about the same? Well, we know it's far worse, and it's getting worse every minute of every day.